Ciao everybody, welcome to my culinary journey. This series is called Valentina's Culinary Voyage, and it's a recreation of the 7 dishes that I ate whilst on board the Viking Jupiter on my Italian Sojourn cruise earlier this year. And these are the dishes that I chose to make and that are sort of representative of the places that I went. So this is a dish from Messina. This is called a Truscello di Messina. Basically, we've got beef meatballs and ricotta balls, cheese balls, layered together, and then it's cooked off in the oven with some lovely, rich bone broth. Okay, so here is the lean minced beef. Now, to this, you add a couple of eggs, some finely grated fresh Parmigiano Reggiano, and some soft white breadcrumbs. Good pinch of salt and pepper, some finely chopped parsley, prezzemolo, and then to bind it all together, once you've got your parsley in there, a little bit of the stock that you're then going to use to cook it all in. Working this all together. Now the key here is that these little meatballs have got to be teeny tiny. They apparently can't be any bigger than an olive. So this might take a bit of time to make this dish, but I guess, you know, it's the sort of thing you can make as a crowd. You can get everybody into the kitchen to help you. Ricotta is one of the final products that you get after making Parmigiano or any other hard cheese. The whey and the curds that are left at the end. So the whey goes off to be fed to the pigs that are turned into Parma ham. In fact, it cannot be Parma ham unless the pigs have eaten the whey from the Parmigiano Reggiano. So it's one of those only situations where you've got 2 products that are entirely symbiotic. The curds, these, get recooked, ricotta, like exactly the same as you would with cottage cheese. And so this is the result. These are the recooked curds left at the end of the process, okay? So I've made sure that I've drained it to get rid of all the liquid, because I really need these to be very dry. So the better quality the ricotta, the better this is going to turn out. There's the drained ricotta. And now this time I'm going to add 3 eggs, give them a little whisk, pepper, salt, and the special ingredient which gives this its unique flavour, ground cloves. I've got about 1/4 teaspoon going in there with my eggs. And now this gets blended together again with soft breadcrumbs and Parmigiano Reggiano. Now I do say in the recipe that if you find this is too wet and too sloppy, just basically add a little bit more breadcrumb, because you don't want the whole thing to turn into a sort of cheesy soup, really. I think I'm going to try and do the bread, the little try and make them as though they were rocher, really all rough canal shape. You could, if you wanted to, at this point, pop them into the fridge or even into the freezer. So these are going to form the bottom layer on the dish. And now I'm going to start to shape the meatballs. Now this is a lot more fun. So here I have a glass that is just slightly wet with cold water, and I'm going to sprinkle it with some of the breadcrumbs so that the breadcrumbs actually stick to the sides, okay? And the finer the better, really, in this case. Now, no bigger than an olive, eh? So let's say it's a big olive for ease. Let's say it's about that much. Okay, I'm now going to drop that into the glass, and I'm going to let the glass and the breadcrumbs do the work for me. I'm not squashing it with my hands, but look what happens. We get a perfectly shaped little ball that's got exactly the right number of breadcrumbs all over it. Easy peasy and much less messy. Rather than the heat of my hands, I'm using the cool, hard surfaces of the glass to help me shape it. Just keep bouncing it around until you can't see any cracks and you've compacted the whole thing properly. There you go. Don't be tempted to go in there with your hand or add anything. Just trust the bounce. So here is the bottom layer of my Truscello. So this is the eggs, the very good quality dried out ricotta, flavoured with parmesan, thickened with the breadcrumbs and flavoured with ground cloves, which forms the bottom layer. And these are being dropped into hot stock, which hopefully is holding them firm and just making sure they don't all disintegrate. So next, there's a layer of the meatballs that goes on top. I'm actually going to put them not too much on top because I think everything's going to collapse if I do that. All quite delicate. What an amazing load of incredible flavours. More stock, and now these go on the top. Now the proof of the pudding, as they say, is going to be in the eating of this, and of course goes without saying that you do need to like cloves to enjoy this, because there is a definite clove theme and flavour running through here. You could of course break with tradition and use different spice if you prefer. I'm sure nutmeg would work really well, as I'm sure that cinnamon would work very well too. I think we're just about there. Right, the last of the stock, and into the oven this goes until everything has sort of cooked through and the meatballs are cooked. I think it's only about 20 minutes or so. So while this was in the oven, I did a bit of a clean up, obviously. And so here you have it. This is my Truscello di Messina. So these are meatballs and ricotta balls, flavoured with stock and a little bit of clove, layered up in this dish. Now, I'm not sure what you call this, whether you'd call this a stew, whether you'd call this a soup. But I'm going to have a taste. Well, the ricotta balls are absolutely delicious. It really works. It's such a great combination of the two. I really suggest you try this. It is delicious. Buon appetito.